I think it's just crazy that so many Integras in the US are swapped to the JDM front end. It's overplayed and bland. For the 94 model year in Japan, they had the bug eye, but so many Japanese people hated the damn thing that for the 96 model year, they switched it over to this very bland rectangular lights that look like the previous Integra. And I bet you $100 if in the US we had these rectangular headlights and in Japan they had the bug eyes, everybody in the US right now would want the bug eye. And I feel like people that have swapped their front end and keep their cars for a long enough time will end up regretting it, because the first thing when anybody thinks of the Integra, they think of the bug eyes. And if you're keeping this car for a collector cool car in the US, eventually they're going to want to put the bug eyes back on. And I guess the same phenomenon happens vice versa. People in Japan love USDM stuff, so I have no doubt in Japan that the bug eyes will be more desirable one day than the rectangular lights. And this also happens for the AE86, the OEM 5 mph crash bumpers over here that we want to sell for $50 that we end up having to give away for free or donate to the junkyard. Japanese people want it, and they'll pay $1,000 to import them. Why? Does it look good? No, it looks terrible, and that's why everybody wants a Japanese front end or an aftermarket bumper. They just want it because it's rare. And I feel like that's just taking things a little to the extreme. I like rare parts, but I like rare parts that look cool. So the takeaway of this little rant is just think twice before getting the JDM front end. I know you're looking for an Integra, but I'm telling you, pro tip, get the bug eye front end. But enough about that. Let's get into everything you need to know about the 3rd gen Integra, from the years, the trims, the common problems, the rare parts you should look out for when looking for a 3rd gen Integra, and last but not least, the 5 rarest colors you could get to stand out a little bit more. And at this point, you do not stand out if you have the JDM front end. I know I keep dogging on it, but it is so bland and it is overdone. So the 3rd gen Integra ran from 1994 to 2001, and the different trims you could get for the Integra are LS, RS, GS, GSR, and Type R. And those are in order, so LS is at the base and Type R is at the top. So the LS is the base model. This stands for luxury sport, and if you're either looking to drag race this car, gut the interior, and have the lightest possible car for autocross or anything like that, LS is preferably where you want to start, especially if you're going to be engine swapping this. These will also be the cheapest because they're most commonly found. After that, you have the RS, which stands for Rally Sport. Again, this came in both the liftback and sedan body styles until 1998 when it was only available in sedan. And the next year after that, 1999, it was dropped. And the RS model of the Integra filled in the gap of sporty and cheap. The next trim is SE. This stands for Special Edition, and this was available in 1995 and 1996. What the SE had over the LS is it had leather seats, alloy wheels, and an optional rear wing spoiler. Now from 97 onwards, the SE name transferred into the GS, and that stands for Grand Sport. And this was the same thing as the SE with a different name. Now the LS, RS, and GS all came with the B18B1, which made 142 horsepower and 127 pound-feet of torque. Now one of the trims you've been waiting for, the GSR. This stood for Grand Sport Racing, and this was either available as a liftback or a sedan. This came with the engine that you want, the 1.8 liter dual overhead cam VTEC B18C1 that made 170 horsepower and 128 pound-feet of torque. The GSR came with a rear spoiler, 6-speaker stereo system, power moonroof, and some alloy wheels. Now if you want to be that super duper cooper cool guy at the car meet, then you'd want to go with the Type R. This will definitely break everybody's neck at the car meet because these things are almost never seen anymore, because most of them have been stolen and parted out at some shipyard and shipped everywhere around the world. But if you found a survivor and you buy it, you're gonna be the coolest guy there. Might even be cooler than the guy that brought his dad's Lamborghini. But that's only if you have the bug eye. If you bring an imported Type R with a JDM front end, most people think it's a Prelude. This came with the 1.8 liter dual overhead cam VTEC B18C5, and this made a little bit more horsepower than the C1 version of the B18, making 195 horsepower and 130 pound-feet of torque. This also came with some extra goodies like a limited slip differential, unique interior trim, a front spoiler, high rear wing like a Supra, and Type R badging around the car. It also had lowered, sportier suspension and some 7-spoke alloy wheels. Now the downsides to the Type R. This thing might not come with air conditioning, and for people that live in Texas or in Florida, that might be a deal breaker, but I think the Type R badge more than makes up for it. It also might not have leather upholstery, the tilt and height adjustable driver's seat, visor mirrors, power moonroof, and cruise control. Pretty much every luxury in the car is taken out because this is the race version of the car. Now let's jump into the common problems you want to look out for when checking out the Integra you want to buy. First things first, these cars are known to rattle. Acura, when you think of Acura, you think of a luxury brand. Well, the Integra don't think of it like that. Think of it as like a cheap Honda Civic, which it pretty much is, and just know that everything is going to rattle. Now, some people, can stuff some foam, some here, some there, and try to make it less rattly, creaky, and all that, which is good if they've done that. But just know when you go to check one of these out, that will be a common problem that you might see in the Integra you're looking to buy. Now, that's no reason not to get the car, because most likely the next one you look at will have the same exact issue. So you just have to deal with that. Another issue happens when it rains. For some reason, the seals on the windows don't work, which kind of sucks. And rain will get in through the window and go down and just destroy your speakers. So I would definitely change out those seals and change out the speakers, but if the speakers don't work, now you know why. Another issue is that the door handles like to break, especially when it's cold and your car is all iced up, but this isn't really something you need to know unless the car you're looking at has a broken door handle. But if not, just be more careful than you would with other cars with the door handles. Another issue is bumper sag. The bumpers just like to sag over time, and you're gonna have to buy new mounts or zip tie these things up just to keep them touchy with the fenders. Another one is that the sunroof likes to leak on these cars, and that's just because old seals and everything like that. Make sure that if it does leak, it hasn't leaked onto the carpet long enough for it to cause rust or even a mildew smell. Mold is pretty hard to get rid of, and the only way to do that is replacing the carpet. So if that's the case, make sure to bargain down the price because new carpet isn't the cheapest. Speaking of seals, another seal that likes to go bad is the hatch seal. If this goes bad, you will have a free swimming pool. Usually you have to pay $5-10 grand to put a swimming pool in your backyard. Well, you could do this for free by just removing the seal, and now you want to have one in your backyard, but you'll have it in the back of your car. Pretty much cool, the same thing. It could be a little hot tub if you want. It's just going to pool up where that spare tire is. And I mean, if you spray the inside with rhino lining, it could be, a pretty cool hot tub. But if you don't want the hot tub or the rust, well, then make sure to replace that seal and look at the condition when you're there. Because again, if that seal is all busted up and it looks like it's been ran over by a tank, maybe use that to bargain down the price. And for engine issues, there's not too many. Hondas, just like Toyotas, are very reliable, but there's two things that you need to do to keep this car reliable. One of them is change out that timing belt every 90,000 miles. This is a timing belt car, not a timing chain car. So if the timing belt snaps, you're not gonna have fun and you're gonna be stranded on the side of the road, and you're gonna be looking for a new engine while you're on the side of the road, probably on eBay or some other Japanese import engine site. So what I would do is take the preventative maintenance and just replace it every 90,000 miles, and you won't have to worry about it. And what you can do is you can even make it a fun day and change out the cam gears with nice purple ones, because everybody likes those a lot. If they already have the purple ones, don't pay any extra for it because it's not that cool. At least you know that he did change the timing belt somewhat recently, if the purple ones are still shiny. Now, if they're all gunked up in black, probably know that it's been a while. And the other thing that you have to worry about with the engine is the radiator. For some reason, these radiators are not made by the same people that make all the other Honda parts, because all the other Honda parts are reliable, except this. These things like to break down at like 90 to 120,000 miles. So please look at the radiator when you go check the car, see if there's any leaks, see if the thing even works. Drive the car for a little bit, see if the temperature stays steady. And if any of these things aren't normal and it's leaking or the temperature's not staying steady, I would ask the owner. I wouldn't really trust him because I don't trust nobody when buying a car. But I would ask the owner if it's overheated in the past, and if it has, stay away from that car unless you want to engine swap it. And if he says no, it has it probably has, so don't trust them at all. If on your 10-minute test drive that thing's almost on red, it's probably been overheated. And again, I would just stay away from that. Now for rare parts, the Integra is one of the best cars to have if you like rare parts, because there's a ton of them. There is the European domestic market, there was a Canadian domestic market, there's a US domestic market, and there's a Japanese domestic market. All of them had different parts. So you can kind of make a mismatched Integra with Canadian parts, Japanese parts, whatever. There's so many different parts. And just like with the JDM front bumper, each region wants the other region's parts. So to start off the list, one of the most common and obvious things that you want to be looking for is anything with the initials ITR, Integra Type R. No matter what it is, like I said, so many of these got stolen and parted out that a lot of regular Integras, predominantly GSRs, will have some Integra Type R parts. Or they might just be imported from Japan too. A lot more Integra Type Rs were sold in Japan, so a lot of those parts from rusted out cars came over here and made it onto USDM cars. Another rare part are fog lamps. For some reason, in every car that I look at, fog lamps are just always kind of on that rare list. I don't know why nobody likes to see in the fog, but I guess it's something that they can live without, so nobody buys these things. For the USDA market, the EDM, the European domestic market taillights are rare. And another thing is a personal box. Personal box is if you don't smoke and you wanted a cool little box to put personal things, I don't know, jewelry, I don't know what else you stick in there, it's pretty small, but if you have anything small that you want to stick in there, you would get a personal box instead of an ashtray. Something that I would actually want is a yellow interior or a red interior. Both of these are super rare. The Canadian market had the red interior, and I'm not sure where the yellow interior came from. I think that was just a Recaro seats. Another thing is the OEM wind visors. These are the things that go in the side windows that allow you to like roll your window down a little bit during the rain, so if you're smoking, the smoke can get out. Other than that, I don't really know why you'd use them unless you have no AC and you just like to have the window down while it's raining too. That works. Another thing that's pretty much rare in all Japanese cars in America is power folding mirrors. For some reason, nobody wanted power folding mirrors here, and I don't think it was an option. Another rare thing is the Canadian domestic market airbag delete. For whatever reason, Canada did not require airbags, so you could get a delete. And a lot of people for race cars that like to save weight, airbags are kind of heavy for what they are, so a lot of people like to buy these, put them in their car, and save a little bit of weight for the track, while still keeping the interior looking nice. And the last thing are just the additional options that you can get from the factory. These are the Acura OEM side skirts or the rear valances, and because of it being an option on the Integra, you got to pay extra for. These things are quite rare and expensive. Now to get into my favorite part of the video, the 5 rarest colors that you could get for the Integra. Now some of these are not cool at all, and I'll start out with one of them, Thunder Gray. This almost reminds me of just like a gunmetal gray. Again, really bland. If you had I hate to do it, but if you have the JDM front swap and you have this color, I mean, this thing could be mistaken as a Prelude, a Civic, mistaken for a Camry. I mean, it's just such a bland color. You don't really think of sports car or sporty car when you see this color, but it is rare. For the number 4 spot on this list is Isles Green. And again, I don't know, it's just a really, really boring color, and it just does not work on the Integra. I feel like the Integra needs a bright color and just a dark green. It makes it look like your grandma's car. Number 3 on this list isn't any better, and that's Vogue Silver. At least with this color, you can see the body lines a little bit better, and it does look a little bit sportier, but at the same time, it is just silver, so it's not really that cool. But out of all the 3 so far, this would probably be my best pick. Number 2 on this list, another really, really boring color, Nighthawk Black. Now this is one of the rarest colors you could get for the Integra, but is it worth it? Is it worth spending that extra money? No, because it is black. It might have a cool name like Nighthawk, but at the end of the day, it's just black and it looks black and it's boring. The Nighthawk name does sound cooler, but it just looks like any other black. But that's where the boringness ends and where the coolness starts. The number 1 rarest color for this car is called Dark Violet, and it is about the only color on this list that is actually cool. Especially on Integra, I didn't even know this color existed, and that's probably because it's the rarest color you could get, and it will make your Integra stand out. Purple cars, I mean, everybody always gravitates toward these things. Everybody wants to make their car purple, but having a purple car from the factory and also being the rarest color makes this thing a gem. So I hope you guys did enjoy my video on the buyer's guide on the 3rd gen Integra. Let me know in the comments if you end up buying one, what you got, all the mods that it has, and if it's been reliable since you bought it. Also make sure to leave some ideas for new videos in the comments, and join the Discord if you're new. We play video games to talk about cool cars like we're doing now. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.